Okay, in this one we're going to cover Lydian dominant in kind of a playful comical action scenario. Let's say you have like a really goofy bad guy. Let's say he's invading like a home or something. I'm just giving you like a scenario here. Invading a home. He's kind of goofy. You don't want like the diminished scale and a really aggressive kind of sound. You may want something that's more comical, and that's where I would turn to something like Lydian dominant, for instance. You can use stuff like harmonic minor. So something loosely based off of harmonic minor 1 and 5, you can still make sound comical. You know, with chromaticism, flat 5 kind of moves. You know, it's based. It's not for this topic, but it's stuff like flat 5s and chromaticism will give you kind of a, especially if you execute it right, it'll sound comical. But however, we're going to use Lydian dominant for our specific needs here, because we want it to also sound kind of actiony. Like there's like, you know, like maybe he's falling down the stairs, maybe he's doing something stupid, maybe he dropped something and it broke. You know. So just a brief overview of the scale. We got that flat 7 degree, unlike the Re 7th of regular Lydian, okay? And this is derived from G melodic minor. So there's G melodic minor. Now here's the chords you can get out of this. This is just a brief overview of the scale and chords, and I actually don't use that many chords in this. So what we're going to notice right offhand is it's not nearly as dreamy as regular Lydian because of that flat 7. So it actually can, there's many feels you can actually get out of the scale, but that flat 7 really changes how you feel about it. You could actually make the scale sound mysterious, and that's what we're going to do in the next Lydian dominant video. So what I'm going to do is play back the full version first. So I actually made this score first, exported it out, and used Vienna Symphonic Library to render it, mostly because Vienna Symphonic Library actually, due to their matrix system, allows you to do stuff like divisions all on one track, you know, and it sounds realistic. It doesn't sound like 24 violins suddenly split into 48. So let me go ahead and play this back first. So I had to actually stick in 2 extra measures because it was cutting off the tail, so ignore that. We'll go ahead and show you how I arrived at this point now, okay, and how simple this actually really is harmonically. It's very simple. This is my sketch. I always start with a sketch, and I usually know where to go with something because after years of experience, you could actually start hearing things, and that's why a basic sketch is probably all... Well, it's really all I need personally to actually blow it up into a full orchestration. So, as a really simple sketch like this. So let's play through it. So right there we kind of get that C sharp 11 flat 7 sound. Flat 7 sharp 11. That's pretty much the entire basis of the whole thing. I didn't stick any rhythmic aspects in, nothing, no runs, but here's the bass, pretty much the bass harmony that I worked with almost the entire time except for one different chord. Okay, and I'll show you that in a second. So again, that's pretty much our entire harmony for most of the piece is just that C and the C sharp 11. And then here's the second bar, or the third bar, I'm sorry. See, again, it kind of echoes the first thing as like a call and response. Then that little horn melody, when that ends, we have that same shape again. Now something cool happens here. This is the only time the chords change. And I'm going to show you a cool little trick. When this happens, it's F sharp Lydian dominant. And why did I do that? Because there's actually 4 common tones being, if you take the Lydian dominant scale and jump a tritone away, there's actually 4 common tones. So here, watch this trick we're gonna do. I'll show you in it. So I take this C sharp 11 flat 7 kind of sound, and change the root to F sharp and use F sharp Lydian dominant. You could still use that same shape and it becomes F sharp 7 sharp 11 flat 7 sharp 11. So C flat 7 sharp 11. Let me play the full chord with the G and C Lydian dominant. Now take out the G, F sharp Lydian dominant. See how many? There's those 4 common tones, which will give you the same kind of color chord. And we're going to find later in the next video on Lydian dominant, this can be used to create a very mysterious sound, as opposed to comical. Okay, but this is not for this video. We'll save that for the next one on Lydian dominant. So it's a really cool enharmonic trick, and I'll show you in another video why I do that too. So let me go backwards before I go to that. The reason I did it, so it doesn't feel like much has changed. We don't feel like we've wandered too much from that C home plate because of all those common tones. So that's the reason I did it. So let's go on to the next part. You'll notice a lot of things either land on the F sharp or the B flat, and that's intentional. It's for that disjunct sound. And then the end uses a tuplet run of 7. So why would you do such a thing? Well, because if you have a starting note and an ending note, sometimes you want those to be the beginning and end notes. So that's the reason I chose a group of 7. And then ending on a C chord. You know, and speaking of the scale itself, all the glissandos and whatnot and runs and everything are just using that scale. So and this would actually be a simple tuning for a harp, just sharp the F and flat the B, and you could gliss all over the place. So just if you know how harp works. So that's a different story. This isn't about orchestration. So what to get out of this really is, don't be afraid of these voicings like this, okay? The flat 7 and the sharp 11 kind of sound. Don't be afraid of that. The disjunct might actually help you find that comical sound. It's a really cool scale, and you saw how much I got out of just almost one or two chords. So you could do a little march like this, just as little extras here. I'm not going to go too much into that, but you could do all kinds of things to make it sound comical. It all depends on how you execute it, but literally I did not use very much material, as you see. One of the things you should actually strive for is just to get the most out of very little material. So let's play it back again. So again, this is a great scale to use for some, like a comical kind of actions scenario. It's comical, but there's a little bit of action going on. You could actually just stick to, like I did, just 2 basic shapes, the C major shape and then the sharp 11 kind of sound, flat 7 sharp 11. And that brings us to the other point. You may not always need a lot of new moves. You may just need to learn how to stretch what you already know. And it doesn't matter what scale you're using. You could use the major scale, and you could always find a way to make it sound different than what you've done before.